Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking what might honestly be India's absolute biggest growth story right now. And when you think of massive economic growth, your mind probably jumps straight to sprawling new factories, giant tech parks, or, digital networks. But what we're looking at today, it's not happening on a factory floor. It's happening literally right outside your window, in the cities themselves. We are talking about a monumental urban shift. And as we're going to see, this is creating a totally new frontier for corporate leadership.
$840 billion. Seriously, take a second to just let the sheer scale of that number sink in. That massive figure, that's a direct estimate from the World Bank for India's urban infrastructure needs over just the next 15 years. I wanted to start with this cold, hard number to instantly grab your attention, because this isn't just some, slight bump in municipal budgets. We are talking about a tidal wave of capital. It's a colossal, completely unavoidable macroeconomic reality that is quite literally about to reshape the landscape of the entire country. Okay, let's dive into this. So how does an $840 billion pie actually break down? Well, the stark reality is a pretty massive split. The first slice, taking up the lion's share at nearly $450 billion, is strictly for basic municipal services. We're talking about the absolute bare-bones fundamentals for survival here. Things like water, sewerage, solid waste, drainage, roads, and street lighting. Then, the remaining $390 billion is dedicated entirely to mass transit and urban mobility. Just think about that. The sheer volume of money required just to keep these cities functioning at a baseline level, before we even start talking about bullet trains or futuristic smart cities, is just staggering. Now, looking at a massive government infrastructure budget like that naturally leads to a very obvious question. Why does this actually matter to you? I mean, if you're an ambitious professional, a manager, or a startup founder, you're probably thinking, okay, cool, but this is a public policy issue for some government official to solve, not me. But I want to pause right here and ask you to look at this from a totally different angle. Why is this gigantic macroeconomic policy topic actually an incredibly urgent, very personal career signal for you? Well, there is a massive pivot happening right now between two totally distinct mindsets. The old view is basically a trap. It's this idea that infrastructure is purely a government problem, completely disconnected from your day job. But the new view is that growth follows those who understand cities. The World Bank actually notes that while the government currently funds most city infrastructure, private financing is still really limited. So the smartest professionals and leaders out there are realizing that this $840 billion gap is actually a massive flashing signal. It's pointing exactly to where work, where talent, and where opportunity will inevitably move over the next decade.
Section 1. When cities break down and the real cost of congestion.
Because look, when cities expand rapidly but they don't have the strong infrastructure to actually support that growth, the pain isn't just felt by some city planner sitting in a distant office somewhere. That friction trickles down immediately, directly into the daily operations of regular businesses. It creates this massive corporate friction. Think about it. If transport is poor and housing becomes completely unaffordable, what happens? First off, you get massive commute stress and fatigue among your teams. And that immediately translates into much slower hiring and immense pressure on retention. Your overall employee experience is fundamentally weakened. Businesses face way higher operating friction just to get the most basic things done. The math here is simple, but brutal. If cities don't scale well, businesses simply cannot scale well. And professionals, they lose their most valuable assets, their time, their energy, and their productivity.
And this brilliantly illustrates Section 2, a hidden leadership frontier, and how the shift impacts corporate roles.
We're moving from the big picture of, crumbling infrastructure straight into your career. We're looking at exactly how this massive macro shift impacts specific daily corporate jobs. So let's say you're an HR leader. Your focus area isn't just basic hiring anymore, right? It's actively mitigating commute fatigue, designing really effective hybrid work strategies, and deeply factoring in office site locations and employee well-being. Or if you're a founder or a manager, your primary challenge is building around these infrastructure constraints and fighting tooth and nail to retain talent in really tough urban environments. The best operators out there are going to build around these constraints way faster than their competitors. And what if you're a young professional? Well, your focus needs to be on system thinking. You literally need to start studying urbanization with the exact same intensity that people are studying AI right now, because it will change industries. Make no mistake, these are no longer just side issues. These are absolutely core business issues.
Section 3. 5 Rules for Your Career. The Corporation Playbook.
To actually navigate all of this, we're turning to Gurmeet Singh.
He's the founder of Corporate 10 and a 30-year veteran in HR, industrial relations, and strategic leadership. He has some incredibly actionable advice for navigating this exact urban shift, and his foundational mindset is incredibly simple. Big plans are common, strong execution is rare. As we look at literally billions of dollars in infrastructure planning, remember that out in the real corporate world, reliable professionals who can actually execute on a plan, they will always stand out from the crowd. In the face of billions in planning, reliable execution is your ultimate differentiator.
Let's move to and see how this builds into 5 really distinct, practical career lessons to help you navigate structural shifts. Step 1. Learn how cities work. Seeing things like housing, transport, and finance as connected systems actually teaches you how business really functions. Step 2. Build cross-functional thinking. The future absolutely belongs to those who can connect policy, operations, people, and risk across entirely different departments. Step 3. Follow investment flows. Capital tells you exactly where the new jobs and the new business models are heading. Step 4. Improve execution discipline. Because, like we just talked about, implementation and accountability will beat a fancy plan every single time. And finally, Step 5. Think long-term. While everybody else is out there chasing the obvious, visible trends, you need to be studying the deep structural shifts happening underneath them. Bringing all of this together reveals one core truth. Success is awareness, behavior, discipline, and timing. And this beautifully ties right back into the core corporatism philosophy. Achieving true corporate success isn't just relying on raw and natural talent. It's about understanding your timing, mastering workplace behavior, and having the deep awareness to spot massive structural shifts, like this giant urban transformation we've been talking about, and then adapting your discipline to meet it head-on.
I want to conclude this explainer with one final kind of provocative thought. I want you to ask yourself, are you tracking company trends or are you tracking city trends? Please do not look at India's urban challenge as just some distant news story playing in the background. I urge you to look at it as a loud, clear, flashing career signal. Look at where the country is headed. Truly understand where demand and disruption are building up next and position yourself exactly there, well before the crowd does. Thank you so much for diving into this explainer with me, and keep your eyes peeled for those hidden signals.